In this lesson, we're going to learn the process of bringing in an AutoCAD site and then changing it into a topography surface. To begin with, we need to start by coming up to the Insert tab, and then from underneath Insert on the ribbon, picking Import CAD. We'll look for the AutoCAD file that we want to bring into our project. In this case, it's called 3D ACAD Contours. For the positioning, we want to change it from Auto Center to Center to Auto Origin to Origin. This means when we insert it into Revit, it'll have the correct origin point, and it'll be the same elevation as it should be off of that initial level, so it'll be at the right height and location in space. After doing that, select on Open. It gives us a quick error, and it's asking about ActiveX and proxy graphics. For the most part, that's just AutoCAD stuff, and we don't need to worry about it, so just click on Close to that. It's also giving us a warning message. Basically what it's saying is that we can't see that AutoCAD information in this current view. And that makes sense, and we'll see why here in just a second. So you can cancel out of that dialog box as well. Then come underneath the project browser and double click on South underneath Elevations. This big red, orange, whatever color this is up here, this is that AutoCAD site information that we just brought in. And we can see how much higher it is than where our level 1 is located at. Now we have two different options at this point. We can either move the site information down to match the levels, or we can draw in some new levels up here where the site is located at. Usually the good practice is just to draw in some more levels and then start to develop your design from there. So that's what I plan on doing. So I'm going to zoom in to the left-hand side of the site from here and begin to draw in some more levels. To do that, I'll move up here to the Architecture tab. Over toward the right-hand side, there's an option for level. The exact elevation I don't know as of just yet, so I'm going to click right about here and then draw a level over and click again. I'll hit escape a couple times on the keyboard and then zoom in to take a better look at it. Right now it's at 1,568 feet. What I'd like to do is change this to be a more round number. So I think I'm going to change this to be 1,580 and see how it looks. We'll select on the level line, click, and instead of 68, so it'll be 1,580, and I'll get rid of the 2.5 inches as well. And now just click out here in space. Now the level looks like it's vanished, but it actually hasn't. It's just moved up in space. If we zoom out, we'll then be able to see that level at the 1,580 foot mark, and we can see how it's cutting through the site right there. Well, I'd like to draw in yet another level, so once again underneath Architecture and Level, and this one could represent our second floor. And this one will be 10 feet up. So I'll just type in 10 foot. I'll click. And now I'll draw this one over as well. And then click again. Now for what it's worth, we could rename these by clicking on them, renaming them, making them stand for something to make sense, such as top of foundation, first floor. But basically at this point, we'd start to set up our levels. And we could even get rid of that level number 2 that was down here. Just one thing to note though is that the site is currently hosted on this level 1. So you'll either need to leave the level 1 in, or if you decide to delete it, you'll have to rehost the site to one of these other levels that you just created. That being said though, let's take a look at one of the new floor plans that have been created. So if you come up here to level 3 and double click on that, now do a zoom extents. And you can do that by either typing in the letters Z, E in the keyboard, or by just double-clicking the wheel on your mouse. And by doing this, we can now see the full extents of our site. Now, what I'd like to do is begin to generate our site based off of this information. Come up here to Massing and Site, and then pick on the command named Topo Surface. There's an option that says Create from Import. And underneath there's two different options. One is Specify a Points File. So if you have a points file, you could select it off the list. But I really don't recommend that because those create some really complex sites you'll have to clean up later. In this case, we want to do Select Import Instance. And we'll select that drawing file that we imported in. Here we have a variety of different layers. These are all the different layers that got brought in when we brought in this AutoCAD information. This AutoCAD drawing was set up with topo in mind, so that it's only the topo that are creating these contours. So to begin with, I'm going to select on Check None because I don't want to add points to everything we see here, just the topography. From here, I'm going to put a check mark next to See Topo, features. Really begin to just click on any of these. I'm going to do the topo grade. I'll pick on the majors and the minors down here. And that should be enough. So right now I have the minor in, minor, major in, major, grade, grade and cuts, and features all selected, as well as C-topo. Now if we click on OK to this, Revit's going to have to think for a few seconds because it's currently converting this into a Revit site. Whenever it's finished this process, click on the big green check mark. Now it sort of looks cut off, but the reasoning is that only some of this site is currently going through our current level. If we went to a different level, we'd be able to see different parts of the site instead. Well, I know that the site has already been created, so I don't really need to have the AutoCAD information in there anymore. And it's always good to get rid of the AutoCAD information. So I'm going to select on the AutoCAD information and then hit delete on the keyboard to get rid of it. Now, if we go up to our little 3D house, we can now see the newly created Revit site based off of that AutoCAD site information. So remember that you just need to insert in the AutoCAD drawing into your project, then use your topo surface commands, and then create from import instance in order to generate a Revit site based off of your AutoCAD information.